to order for today, September 9th, 2019. We're going to follow our agenda as set, and we will begin with a prayer and invocation. The prayer will be led by Commissioner Honeycutt, and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag will be led by Commissioner Al Horton. May I get you to please rise?
Could we pray? Lord, we thank you for this time together to conduct the business of the Fort Valley Utility Commission. We ask that you would lead, guide, and direct us in our deliberations tonight. As always, we ask that you would continue to bless us, and we ask that you would forgive us for our shortcomings. Bless this town, this community, and all that we do. In Christ's name we ask. Amen.
Amen.
Face the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank Commissioners Honeycutt and Horton for leading us in the prayer and invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. At this time, I'd like to welcome all of our visitors. We'd like to welcome CJ. Thank you for being there. CJ is Commissioner Johnson's son. And Steve, thank you for being there. We see you often. We also acknowledge the arrival of retired Officer Lundy. Thank you for your service and thank you for coming. We're recognizing our visitors. Thank you for being here. We'd also like to recognize all of the commissioners and our attorney for being here, and the A-team, the staff. And at this time, we have a newcomer on our staff, and at this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Kathy if you will introduce our new member. Please stand, Mr. Clay.
Come on. Can't be shy.
She said stand.
I'd like you to meet, this is Clay Walker. He's joined us from Houston County, where he served for 15 years. He is in the role of operations manager over the water and wastewater. Okay. And we'll give him just a second to tell you a little bit about himself. Okay.
She didn't tell you, but go ahead, we're family.
Just I did before, I gave him a warning.
You gave him a heads up, okay. It's okay.
Before I was with Houston County, I did run dual extended aeration sewage treatment plant, and also ran a community where we did the water, the sewer, the gas, the electric, and the cable. Okay. And so I've had a background in that. And then Houston County's 15 water treatment plants.
Good.
And he has 5 grandkids with 2 on the way. So those are his hobbies.
Oh, that's We'd like to officially welcome you on behalf of our board and all of our employees and our community. We are happy that you will be willing to come to us. We look forward to many, many years of great service and friendship. Thank you for being here.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Clay.
Are there any visitors with comments or concerns? If you do have, we will hear them at this time. Okay, there being none, we'll go on with our agenda. We're going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes. And Attorney, we can't do them all at one time?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Unless there are changes.
Okay. The work session meeting of June 3rd, July 1st, and August 5th, 2019. A call meeting of June 24th, July 11th, 2019. And a public meeting of June 10th, 2019. May I get a motion for approval of the minutes of those sessions?
I so move, and with corrections if there be any.
Yeah. I have a motion on the floor that we will approve the minutes with whatever corrections are necessary, should there be any. And I need a motion.
Second. I second.
I mean a second, I'm sorry, thank you, a second. Okay, thank you. The motion from Commissioner Johnson and the second from Commissioner Al Horton to approve the minutes. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, then I call for the vote. All those in favor, let it be known by a show of hands. It's unanimously carried. Thank you so much. Our activity reports are next for this month, and we're going to call on our Director of Financial Services, Kathy again, Kathy Johnson.
How are y'all? So for the month of August, for me personally, I spent a lot of time on the budget, getting ready for that. As far as customer service, they posted 5,077 payments as compared to July of 4,956. So a little bit more than last month. In the drive-through, we had 668 customers in August and 614 in July. So we saw an increase in drive-through customers. And for registrations online, this is one thing I really try to push, so I bring those numbers each month. We now have a total of 1,808 customers, which is 44 more than we had in July. So that's a good number. And I'll go ahead and report on information technology, the IT department. Zach has been invited to be part of a cybersecurity committee hosted by ECG. So it's not just local, it's statewide. And they had their first meeting, and I believe they're going to meet quarterly. Just, you know, it's stressing the importance and trying to stay on top of cybersecurity. And I believe that's all I have.
You know when they'll start?
They met last week.
Oh, they met last week?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
And y'all tell Zach, thanks. That gets us out there.
Yes.
Please, okay? Thank you so much for that report. I'm going to, do we have any questions for her before she leaves? Okay. All right, thank you. I'm going to now ask Jason Johnson if he will come and let us hear from the Electric Telecommunications Department.
Good evening. So, last month was pretty routine for electric, other than we did hire 2 new employees. We put on a lineman and an apprentice, and so we kind of kept everything routine, let them get a feel of it and get into the swing of things at Utility Commission. On top of that, we answered right at 100 locate requests through the 811 Call Before You Dig program. We trimmed up services and overhead lines in 10 different locations. We also helped with the weatherization program. So we conducted 6 energy audits last month. And on the telecom side, he's been working real hard to build a field inventory. So he's completed his complete field inventory of all the electronics and at his locations and put those into a database so we can search it. Jarvis Reed's done a really good job on that. He also connected 2 more locations for SCADA at lift stations for the wastewater plant. Got those online. And then we had a little hurricane scare, so utilities, we went through our inclement weather program, had a couple meetings, went through all of our checklists, made sure everything was up and running just in case we had to respond to some storm. Everything was good.
I have a question. Did we put any boots on the ground up in the Carolinas or in?
Yes, ma'am. We sent a crew of 3, 1 bucket truck, pickup, to Santee Cooper, Myrtle Beach. They spent 2 days up there. The storm come through. They stayed there, weathered the storm. The next morning went to work. The rest of the electric cities of Georgia were in Santee Cooper. They restored power to over 7,000 people in 1 day.
That's great. Very good, very good. Thank you. All right. Do we have any questions for Jason from our Electric and Telecommunications Department?
I just want to compliment you for responding to our neighbors.
Thank you.
That happened because we live in an area, in a locale where it looks like it never will happen to us. We can't guarantee that. So thank you so much for doing that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask Gary Moncrief if he will give us our water department report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the water department, they installed 4 new 1-inch services. They brought in four new customers online. Then repaired 3 service leaks. And we changed 11 water meters out this month. And also at the water plant, Marquise Johnson attained its Class 2 water plant license.
Tell us congratulations.
We're proud of that.
Okay. Any questions from our water department? Tell Marquis thank you and we're proud of it.
I will.
Okay,
Thank y'all.
you. Now, we have no old business from our reclamation department. Keith is not here, and our general manager is out tonight, so we're gonna go on to old business. We have none at this time. I pause at this moment to acknowledge our friends who have come in. We acknowledged our visitors earlier, but we thank you for being here. And we'll go on with the new business. Under new business, we have the weatherization report, and that's Kathy Johnson.
So our weatherization. So I brought to the work session last week a recommendation of staff that we change the funding of the weatherization program from 70% to 25%.
Okay, we had time to consider that. We want to take action on it tonight. So vote, you recommending a vote?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we need a motion.
Can you explain again the percentage for the public that's here, what the percentage?
Sure. We're recommending that the percentage be 25% to the weatherization program and 75% to the CARES program.
I make a motion for approval.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor for approval. May I get a second? It's been properly motioned by the mayor, moved by the mayor, and seconded by Commissioner Honeycutt that we will approve the recommendation. Do we have any further questions? If not, then I call for a vote. All those in favor of making the recommended changes for the weatherization program, please let it be known by show of hands. It's unanimous. Thank you so much. It's carried. The next item on our agenda is the Utility Service Policies and Procedures Manual. And we had that also in our work session. I'd like to let you reintroduce that, and then
Sure.
we'll.
Absolutely. A couple of months ago, I brought it to the commission that staff put together this one handbook for procedures and policies. We had multiple, but they weren't bound. So we basically put them into one book for customer service. And over the last couple of months, off of some recommendations from our attorney and from the commission, we've made some changes, and this is the most revised handbook that was also presented last week. No changes have been made since last week when we presented it.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Will these be also on the website so that the customers can go and see this in its entirety?
That is the goal. I haven't spoken with Mr. Mims about that, but it'll be the discretion of the commission and the general manager as to exactly how they're published.
Any other questions? Okay, then the staff recommendation is that we approve the Utility Service Policies and Procedures Handbook at no cost to the commission, no project cost. What is your pleasure? I need a motion. All right, I need a second.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Honeycutt and seconded by Commissioner Al Horton that we will approve the Utility Service Policies and Procedures Handbook as presented at this time. Are there any questions? If not, then I call for a vote. All those in favor, let it be known by show of hands. It's unanimously carried. Thank you so much. Kathy, you don't go away. I still have you on the agenda, okay? The next item on the agenda is our budget for fiscal year 2020. You would.
Yes, ma'am. So I presented last week a copy of the proposed fiscal year 20 budget. We reviewed each department. What I'll do tonight, since there were no questions, there were no recommendation of changes, I'll go to page 1 and we'll just kind of look at the summary. Okay. So on page 1, we're going to go into the far right column for the total proposed budget. So the total operating revenues we're projecting is $23,969,035. The projected cost of goods sold, which again is our cost for producing these services. For electricity, it's the cost we pay for electricity. For gas, it's the cost we pay for gas. For water and wastewater, it's our cost for the plants for treating the water and the wastewater. That's what the cost of goods represent, cost of goods sold represents. So we estimate that to be $14,356,699 in expenses. Okay. For operating and maintenance, we estimate an operating expense of $10,401,657, which brings us to an operating loss of $789,321. And towards the bottom, when we add back in our non-cash expenditures, which would be the depreciation, and then we account for our capital outlays for admin and operations, and our debt service funding, which again includes 2 GFA loans that we've yet to sign off on. That leaves us with a cash provided of $6,169. Is there anything else you want me to go deeper in, or?
Do you have any room for the budget discussion?
And we will need to schedule one more meeting to hold a vote. We were hoping that we could do that this Friday. I'll have Penny reach out to everybody and schedule that.
This Friday.
Right.
How's everybody looking for this Friday? Pretty good with it?
I think Craig was maybe around 10 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Right now it's looking really good for
It's
Friday.
really good, so we want to go ahead and pencil it in, and I will confirm with Craig, make sure he's available.
Let's
And
make
then I'll
sure
have
we-
Penny
and then
schedule it.
Let her schedule it and then
Mhm.
follow up in case there's some changes.
Yes, that sounds great. Will you need to be at that?
Okay. Anything else for the budget? Any other questions? Any other questions? No? Anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Commissioner Hart, anything? Commissioner Johnson? All right.
Except for an announcement, you're talking about not the budget.
Not the budget.
Not the budget. So, on Wednesday morning, as you know, Wednesday is September 11th. And each time we try to do something to commemorate the 9/11 tragedy that happened. We will have a brief ceremony at 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning out at the memorial part, the memorial part of the festival part, and all are invited. I think 9 o'clock is the time when the calls came out, and we try to schedule it around that same time. So we'd love for you to be there.
Okay. Any other announcements? I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that we have had a wonderful back-to-school kickoff this year, and I think it's just been awesome the way our teams have showed up, our bands have made us look good, and I want to commend all of us here for embracing our new arrivals on the university campus, and our new arrivals to Peach County High School. Some of them are over there for the first time, and all of our educational systems in Peach County. And then to ask that each of us will continue to work in that spirit toward the rest of this year. It's been a great kickoff for the fall season. I also acknowledge the fact that we have visitors in the audience, and we thank you, each of you, for being here. We thank you for coming. It's always good to see our friends and neighbors in the congregation with us. And we thank our media, especially our news media and newspaper, what is it, print media and electronic media. Mr. Williams.
So my publicist before showing up at meetings, not at.
Pardon? What did you say? I
I
didn't.
should really consult my publicist before showing up at meetings, now that I'm on TV still.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. And I especially thank all of our commissioners, our Attorney Bentley for being here, and all of our staff. We thank you so much for all that you do for the good of our community. And on behalf of the Utility Commission, the City of Fort Valley, and all of our customers, I declare this meeting adjourned.